He wanted to hang out with his older brother. You know, they went for a little jog. I guess about maybe halfway into the run, Landon said, "Something's wrong," and he just collapsed.
Well, I found out I needed a transplant when I was 19. Gradually, my lungs were dying. It came to the point where you have to kind of accept that this may not happen.
My oldest sister, Adrienne, at the age of 33, my sister was waiting for a bus and she suffered a seizure. The way that she fell that day, she suffered a traumatic brain injury.
It was established that I needed mitral valve replacement. And during that procedure, there was a lot of damage to my heart. That's when it was determined that I needed a heart transplant.
I was there with him when he decided to become an organ donor. We were at the BMV one Saturday. So the lady asked him, about organ donation, and he just said, yes. I was proud of him. Giving and helping someone else through tissue and cornea donation, I know he's happy because he still exceeded our expectations.
It was like 8 o'clock and they were like, "We're sorry to wake you, but Cleveland called and they have a match for you." In my head, I was just kind of like, is this really happening? Because I've waited so long that I didn't know what to expect. And they explained that they would be sending a helicopter to pick me up in about 2 hours. Because of them, my parents get to experience me getting married and, they get to keep me.
That night, my sister's heart went to a 38-year-old man. He was married and had 2 preschool-age children. Her liver went into a 41-year-old mom, and both kidneys were transplanted here in Cincinnati. One of the recipients, I believe, was from northern Kentucky, and the other one was from Cincinnati. But my sister didn't save anybody's life because she died. She saved people's lives because my parents said yes.
So at 8 o'clock on February 25th, my doctor looked at me and she said, "We found you a heart." And by 1 a.m. on the 26th, a day before my birthday, I got my heart. Best birthday gift I could ever get. You gotta figure, for someone to donate, they make a decision that on their worst day, they wanna help someone. And I don't know him, I don't know what he looks like, but that soul and that spirit is constantly with me because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him making the decision to give the most generous gift you can give.
It is truly amazing what we do and what all the transplant centers do to get these people who are in such dire health to get a life-saving gift that totally changes their life for the better.
One of the things I love most about working at Life Center is our mission and vision. What we do is we save, enhance, and change lives through organ, tissue, and eye donation.
Our mission is to focus on getting more people to register. Right now there's 124,000 people on the wait list, but every year there's only about 25,000 people who receive their transplant. For us, it's getting as many people to register as a donor as possible.
I think organ donation is a very selfless act. Look at it this way, that person still lives on. And aren't we all here to help one another?
is mainly focused for second semester on organ donation, which is a topic you probably not know that much about, but we're trying to raise awareness for. So the month of April is actually National Organ Donation Month. And so this whole month, our goal is to raise awareness and to next week have hopefully a majority students can actually do it. So we are trying to get you to pledge to be an organ donor, and this has been done through various activities throughout the week. So you've seen the ribbons around the hallways, you've seen the various posters trying to raise awareness, because organ donation truly is impactful and it impacts a lot of people, and we can do a lot as a school if we raise our awareness and actually pledge to be an organ donor. So tomorrow, next Friday, April 13th, is actually National Organ Day. So that whole day across the nation, different schools will be celebrating, and communities will be celebrating organ donation. So we are gathered here today to kind of talk about organ donation, to really show why organ donation matters and why you should pledge. So our goal is that next week during Tuesday and Wednesday, you can go and pledge at the Life Center table before school and during lunch. So I've asked individuals to be on stage today wearing the color red. Red does represent life. It represents kind of organ donation as a whole. And so I've asked them here kind of to show the magnitude and the amount of people and the different variety of people that can truly be impacted through organ donation. Organ donation is not just a specific age, it affects everybody, and you may not be aware of how much organ donation truly does affect you. So this year alone, there has been an astronomical amount of lives that have been saved from organ donation. In the month of January, 16 lives were saved. So if you have 16, please stand up. Thank you. In the month of February, there have been 15 lives saved. Thank you. And in the month of March, there have been 32 lives saved from organ donation. These lives are people that are critically in danger and need an organ transplant in order to survive. These are individuals with families and individuals that wish to continue on with life. Thank you. That is a total of 63 lives that have been saved this year already through organ donation. Can everybody please stand? Thank you. Thousands of people are currently are on the wait list and are in need of an organ transplant. And we all have the possibility, in order to save a life, by simply just putting on that you would be an organ donor on your license. Now, if you do not have a license, you can pledge, and this is not a non-binding contract, just saying that you would like to be an organ donor. And so with prom coming up soon, there has been some stories around the nation that have truly impacted us. And there is a story of this girl that happened, the story of a girl who shared who was an organ donor, and this happened over the week of prom.
What we learned in a very short amount of time is that without a doubt, Kaylee wanted to save as many lives as she could and help others.
All she's ever wanted to do was save lives.
The people in this hospital are here to help.
It's happening around the clock.
It started with this crash involving 4 Monroe teens headed to prom.
I blacked out. And when I came to, just kind of like shock. It was our worst nightmare.
I broke the news to everybody. Walking into a room like that with all the tubes and lines and the monitors and the beeps, and I was trying to prepare the family.
Kaylee was 2 weeks away from graduating, planning to go to Ohio State University to fulfill her dream of becoming a surgeon.
We saw Mitchell and Kaylee. They came running up to us. We took pictures, but I guess they were running late for dinner.
She loved prom. She was all hyped for prom.
Kaylee and her friends never made it to prom. She was thrown out of the back seat of this 2013 Tesla. The driver and the other 2 passengers in the car were released from the hospital.
She's my girl. She's my girl.
This marked the beginning of one of the toughest decisions Kaylee's family would ever make.
It's been 72 hours almost to the T.
Kaylee was unresponsive.
She's gone, so I'm trying to kind of like put my mind around that and know that she's not there. It's just her body.
That can be sometimes confusing for families because they're told that their loved one has passed away. However, they're pink, they're warm, their heartbeat can be seen up on the screen.
At 17, Kaylee was adamant about being an organ donor.
Kind of knew what was going to happen in a sense, even though we didn't really want to hear it. This is what she wanted, so she's going to save a lot of lives, unfortunately, due to something that shouldn't happen. But
Her grandfather had 2 kidney transplants, gifting her family 13 more years with him.
When my father received his transplants, it was hard for the whole family, but yet we appreciated every second and all the time that we had with him.
Once Kaylee's family came to grips with her decision to save others, the clock started.
It's usually about 24 to 36 hours of coordination of efforts.
The gut-wrenching decision of who will get Kaylee's gifts rests with this man.
My phone is ringing a lot.
Dr. Shamal Shah is Chief of Transplantation and a medical director for Life Center. Teams immediately start to review donor history, send off blood tests, and check for any infectious diseases that could be passed on to the recipient.
You get an organ offer, and then you have to decide, is an organ suitable for the recipient.
Shaw says a healthy donor can save up to 12 lives. Teams continue to find out what Kaylee could give and where her gifts could go.
How would you describe how you're feeling right now?
Tired, sad, happy.
Her family received update after update.
I would say at peace, knowing the outcome. I wish I could describe it, you know, in terms of being on the receiving end of somebody doing the exact same thing that Kaylee is doing. It's one of those things where you don't know the true extent of what the other person has gone through to be able to give that gift.
Her classmates, friends, and family continually prayed for her, lining the halls of the hospital for days.
It's just difficult to kind of grasp. As you look back and you think of everybody that came, they were in the halls, they were all over the waiting room, and just wanting to know what's going on. It's very humbling.
As Kaylee gives one of the most honorable gifts possible, her family received one as well.
We will record their loved one's heartbeat, and we present that to them in the form of a bear, where they can always hear their loved one's heartbeat.
A reminder that from tragic loss rose life, and that Kaylee's heart was always present.
I don't think her legacy's over. I think it's just beginning.
A beginning that allowed Kaylee to save 6 lives and touch 50 others with her gifts, just in time. Now, as we sat in the hospital with Kaylee's family and watched as they made very, very tough decisions and received updates, it was amazing to see their resolve through their exhaustion and emotion when the donation coordinator came in to tell them that Kaylee would be able to donate tissue. And while it was a true celebration, this was life-changing for them to be a part of making one of Kaylee's dreams come true, which was to save others.
That's exactly what I was thinking as a parent. I think you're watching this and you can understand that your child wants to be an organ donor, but she was so young, right? But for that family in the worst moment of their life to say, okay, yes, and make that decision that it has to, because it has to happen so quickly, really such a selfless family as well.
Absolutely, and to allow us to be there. I mean, you both are parents. You know, this is a tough time. And to have to make decision after decision, and this is your baby girl, you know what I mean? And that was very, very tough for them. But they did it without a doubt because they knew what she wanted. They respected her wishes.
And it was great for everybody to see this because when you're a teenager at the BMV and they ask you that simple question, do you want to be an organ donor? You know, you're not thinking about that. Well, now you see what that one answer of yes could do for all these other people.
I mean, at 15 and a half years old, you can make that decision in Ohio. Now, as a parent, if your child is under the age of 18, you can overturn your child's decision or wish, but her family said absolutely not. We knew what she wanted.
Thank you so much, and certainly thank you to their family, and not just a message, I think, for teenagers, but for all of us. When you're in a rush at the BMV or the DMV, thanks so much, Alexis. We appreciate it.
Amazing story tonight, Alexis. Thank you so much.
Kevin Reynolds has worked for more than 30 years in the nonprofit sector. He has been the community relations manager at Cincinnati Public Radio since 2005. He's responsible for public and media relations, station and member events, media partnerships, and produced the station's first independent podcast. His life changed in December of 2006 when he was diagnosed with cancer in both kidneys. and they were removed early in 2007. On April 19, 2012, his life changed again when he received a new kidney from his friend Susie. Please welcome Kevin Reynolds.
Thanks very much. A couple things before I tell you my story. What Life Center is, and I'm a volunteer with Life Center Organ Donor Network. It's the local organization that works with families at the worst times in their lives. When somebody is either critically ill or has been killed in an accident, and discussing organ donation. Having registered as an organ donor, as you saw here, is one step. The second step, make sure your family knows what your wishes are, because at that moment, they are going to do everything they can to maintain their loved one. And a donation can change a life, which is what I'm going to tell you about. The other thing about the video that you just saw, there was a follow-up story that Alexis Rogers did when all of the recipients of Kaylee's organs and tissues met together at the same time. And if you're looking for a really good cry, I highly recommend you check that out. So my story basically is a little different than a lot of organ donor stories in that it's really one about friendship. So as Navia said, I got the diagnosis that I had cancer in both kidneys, which they told me at the time was very rare. And this is not one of those times where you want to be exceptional, but somehow I was. They took both of my kidneys out in order to clear the cancer. And the good news there is it's been 12 years and I'm still cancer-free. So that part is excellent. What it did, though, is it sent me on a journey for 5 years of dialysis. If you don't know what dialysis is, it's not something you want to attain in life, but it's something that's there if you need it. It's basically a machine, in my case, where I would put 2 large needles in my arm. It would pull blood out, it would clean it, and pull the fluids out, which is what a kidney would do, put the clean blood back in. So I was fortunate to do this at home. I worked all day, and then I would go home and do 4 hours of treatment each night. I had to be on it for 5 years because the rules and regulations are very strict about organ donation, and one of them is if you've had cancer, we're not going to give you a new organ until we know you're cancer-free. So at the beginning of this journey, I threw myself a party before my first surgery because that's what normal people do. And a friend of mine came up to me at the party and said, "I'm going to be your donor." And I knew then that I had at least 5 years to go before anything was going to happen. And I said, "Thank you, I love you, I can't do anything about that now, I can't think about that now, I have way too much going on." But she was committed. This is my friend Susie, and I talk about Susie every time I'm out. Susie went to a doctor for a checkup shortly thereafter and realized that she would not be a candidate to be an organ donor because she had gained weight and her body mass index would disqualify her. Susie, and remember through this whole thing, she has no idea if she's even a match. Susie joined Jenny Craig and in 1 year lost 104 pounds. She joined a gym. She did everything to get healthy to give me her spare kidney. She would call me about every 6 months and say, "Are we ready? Can we do this?" And I'm like, "I would love to, but I have to wait." So every 6 months I was getting screened for any recurrence of the cancer. When I got to 4.5 years, and they've been all clean screens till then, they said, "If you would like to go ahead, if you have some people who might want to donate to you, we can go ahead and start testing so that when you are ready at 5 years, we can get the transplant scheduled." So I had 3 people who were kind enough and generous enough and loving enough to go and get tested. 2 of them were matches, and to nobody's real surprise, Susie was the best match. Finding a non-familial match is a little tricky. It's only about a 25% chance that somebody you're not related to will be a match. And so there was a reason, and you can decide where it all came from, but there was a reason that Susie came into my life. I got my 5-year clean cancer screen. They set my, which was in March of 2012, they set my transplant date for mid-May. I was thrilled. I was just happy I only had 2 more months of dialysis to go. Susie, being Susie, wasn't happy with that and called our transplant center and said, Kevin's been on this machine long enough, find a doctor who can do this sooner. I had no idea until I got a call saying, we've moved up your date to April 19th. And so next Friday, I will celebrate 7 years with Susie's kidney. So, Susie is fine, and I am fine. Being a living donor, I can't even explain the magnitude of a gift that is. The first birthday that Susie had after the transplant, I called her and I said, I have absolutely no idea what to get you for your birthday. It seems like a gift card from the mall is really woefully inadequate considering what you gave me. Susie said, all I want to know is that you are taking advantage of this and living the best life possible. So that's what I'm trying to do. And when I volunteer for Life Center, when I volunteer for Mr. Burgess on CAST here at Highlands, this is all my way of thanking Susie for what she did for me. So I wrap this up because we have another guest to talk with you. I encourage you to please, please consider becoming an organ donor. Please talk to your family about your wishes and why you want to do this. And I usually wrap these things up with, I hope you have a Susie in your life at that time. And maybe more importantly, I hope you're Susie to somebody else. Thanks.
John McSorley is the JV girls basketball and varsity assistant coach. Over the past 2 years, I've had the opportunity to have John as a coach. He is here today to tell his story and the impact that organ donation can have on someone's life. Please welcome John McSorley.
Thank you, Riley. Thanks, everybody. As Riley mentioned, I basically am one of you. I'm a 1992 proud Highlands graduate. And unfortunately, a couple years ago, I was diagnosed with a rare liver disease. It affects about 30,000 people across the country. I was diagnosed with cancer within that liver in January of this year and have since been placed on what Kevin had mentioned, the waiting list. Right now for that, in my part of my life, for a liver, there's approximately 6,000 liver transplants a year. You can't function without one. In addition to that, there's about 16,000 people waiting for one. So you can see the disparities in the numbers and how it's important and why it's important as far as donations are concerned. What is special in regards to the liver, however, and an organ, it has the ability to regenerate itself. So I know we mentioned and we all witnessed a wonderful story where the young lady had died, but as was mentioned previously and with the current situation that I'm in, it can actually be a live donor transplant to the point where medically and scientifically right now, they have the capability out there to be able to take someone else's liver, as long as it's a medical match, and somewhere between 40 to 60% turn around and place that within me and gives me an opportunity to live. I can't tell you what that kind of gift will be. I haven't received it yet. But I do know what it means each day as I look at my 5-year-old, I look at my 7-year-old, I look at my wife, and how I want to be a part of their life and how it impacts me. From that opportunity, it could be that person next to you. I've had some wonderful friends that I made here at Highlands who have already reached out to try to be tested, who say they want to be a part of my life and provide me that wonderful gift. So I know a lot of you feel like it may be a opportunity for when a deceased donor happens, but medically and scientifically right now, there's opportunities to be a live donor as well. And it may be that person next to you, because not a long time ago, I was sitting in that seat right over there. So I would encourage you absolutely to think about it, and the decision is definitely individually for yourself. But I wanted to let you know that your decision can impact someone like me. I'm waiting. Don't know how long I'm waiting for, but I am, and I expect that day to come. Looking forward to a Susie in my life. So with that, I thank you for the opportunity to speak on behalf of my son Josh, TJ, and my wife Sarah. Thank you.
In his bedroom, where his absence is so strongly felt, it's hard to appreciate the Logan Boulay effect.
People like, it's so cool, and I was like, it's not, because like my brother's not here. Do you realize what had to happen? Like, he's gone. But as time comes along, I kind of realize like the magnitude and how it's impacted so many people.
The Logan Boulay effect began here at the Royal University Hospital on Friday, April 6th, the night of the Broncos bus crash. The next morning, Toby and Bernie Boulay were informed that their 21-year-old son had suffered an irreparable brain injury. Logan's parents decided to go public with some private information.
Our friend Neil Longevin, Logan's godfather, we texted Neil stuff, put something on Facebook because people would want information, right?
Hours later, Logan's godfather posted on social media. All counted, 6 people will receive the gift of life.
Then on Sunday at the vigil, it became obvious by then that people across Canada were registering to become organ donors, and we were like, wow.
The Humboldt Broncos tragedy swept across social media. The news about Logan Boulay, a registered organ donor, and his gift of life provoked an incredible reaction. Thousands upon thousands of people responded, with not just thoughts and prayers, but with action.
If he was able to respond and be like, no, it's nothing, like that's just what we should do. Like I'd be like, whoa, like this is a little bit overwhelming. I don't know why I'm getting all this recognition.
In April, organ donor registration rates spiked right across Canada.
I want Logan's legacy to be that he gave back.
And obviously his legacy with the organ transplants is generational, because the people who receive them, their life will go on. They will have children, grandchildren.
It just says that he's a smart and compassionate, caring young man.
Rick Suggett, Logan's trainer and mentor, inspired Logan to become an organ donor. When Rick passed away in 2017 from a cerebral hemorrhage, he also gave the gift of life to 6 people.
He'd be like super proud of that kid.
It's a cool August night in Lethbridge, Alberta, Logan's hometown. A crowd has gathered at City Hall.
Alex Halverson.
Kayla Alch.
Jordan Calladine.
Brendan Harper.
Doug Hopkins.
Michael Grant.
They have volunteered their faces, their voices.
Logan Boulay.
Logan Boulay.
Logan Boulay. Logan Boulay.
Logan Boulay.
Logan Boulay.
Logan Boulay.
Logan Boulay.
Logan Boulay.
So that the Boulay family knows personally why they became organ donors.
Logan was the best of us. He drove me to want to make a change.
It all started with Logan.
I became a donor because Logan inspired me to do so.
I'm very proud to have those conversations with my family and make a difference.
It's the least I could do.
I became a donor because people are dying on the wait list every day.
I became a donor because it's the right thing to do.
The day after I saw the social media movement that him and his family created, I went down and signed my donor card.
We think of him as someone who's brave and someone who cares about other people.
Logan is my son, and I'm very happy and honored that all these people came.
Logan Boulay Effect is amazing. My son is amazing. Thank you to everybody that came out tonight and continue to sign up to become organ donors. Thank you.
So now that you've been presented with a numerous amount of information around organ donation and the importance, there are a couple activities that you can participate in the coming up week in order to celebrate and commemorate organ donation. So tomorrow we are having another focus period event in which we are asking females to wear a white shirt and males to wear a blue shirt in order to take a photo. This will occur out on the football field if weather is permitting. And you will also receive a special surprise if you do go out during focus. And then next week, Tuesday and Wednesday, as I've said, we will have Life Center here in order for you to pledge to be an organ donor and to sign up. You are also able to sign up at the DMV when you get your full license if you want to sign up then. And if you do not have a license and you cannot drive yet, don't worry, you can still pledge to be an organ donor. Now, while we're pushing pledging so much is because Life Center has led this I Am Hope campaign, and we are actually in a competition as a school. We have historically come in second, but it is also based on creativity for presentation of information and also the amount of individuals that do sign up and pledge to be an organ donor. So we're asking that everybody at least consider it and please sign up next week before school or during lunch so that we can potentially win the competition and we can also raise awareness and do stuff for a good cause while in action. Now, organ donation truly is on a greater magnitude than even these videos can show. Organ donation can affect everybody, and you may not know how much it can affect you. Now, I'd like to ask my committee to please stand up with me. In our committee, we have 21 members a part of it. If each member became an organ donor and donated a minimum of 6 organs, they would be able to save 126 lives. And I would like to ask everybody in a red shirt to please stand up. These 126 individuals could each be saved if our full committee planned to be an organ donor if something were to happen. Organ donation truly is impactful, and it affects everybody in every age. No matter where you are in life, if you have a license or not, you can at least have this conversation with your parents and become an organ donor. Organ donation is something we need to raise awareness about and something we need to talk more about. Thank you. You are dismissed.